What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. I want to do a short little clip from my stream that I took last night talking about basically the cadence of like the release schedule for content in World of Warcraft and how that's changed in the new expansion versus the old expansions. And primarily I'm going to talk in this clip about the difference between Blizzard releasing content for players like me, which is like Mythic Plus rating, kind of that whole angle of content, versus what they seem to be doing a lot more of now, which is these sort of in-between patches covering content that isn't really about player power. It isn't really about the interesting Mythic Plus dungeons or raids. It's focused almost entirely on cosmetics, or obviously this new ring that we have, the Circe's circlet thing. So like the Siren Isle, for example, is a great example. This is why this whole discussion came up in the videos, because the Siren Isle seems to me to be this attempt for them to just put in a piece of content to keep us busy until we get to season 2, which isn't for like 2 more months. So anyway, I'm gonna rant about this in the clip. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Once you get to the end of the video, please let me know any thoughts that you have on this whole subject. I would love to hear from you guys. Without further ado, here's the clip. Let me get MS Paint going here, boys. So we got the old system. Old. Okay. With the old system, we basically had we had an expansion. The expansions were every like 1.5 years or 2 years. Was it every 2 years? So an X pack, can't type, I can't write this. X pack is every 2 years, right? So that meant that we had 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons usually. Okay. And so again, the last season here was kind of like a dummy season, but you had like a raid, and then a raid and a raid, and the release schedule was better. It was quicker, actually. I feel like it was actually quicker. Okay, in terms of real content that I want to do, there was a new season, so there was an M plus, right? There was an M plus in all of these, and a raid in all of these. Okay. And then the fourth one, I mean, there used to be a 4th season as well with a raid and M plus. That got changed in recent years. Okay. But now we've got the new system. And the new system works like this. You have a season and then a small thing. And then you have a season and you have a small thing. And then you're going to have a 3rd season. And these small things, and so the X pack is like a little bit sooner, right? It's like every 1.5 years. Can't do a Y. Somebody save me. Okay. So you have raid, then you have raid, and then you have a raid. Okay. And you have an M plus season. M plus, M plus. But we're missing an entire season now, which means the distance between these seasons is actually longer than what it was before. Even though they have shrunk the X pack by like 6 months, the feeling that we get inside each season is way longer. It's way longer now. It's like a whole 4 to 6 weeks longer in between seasons. So we feel the difference. You don't get a season as quickly as you did in the old system, which feels so much worse. We're stuck in this season for a lot longer. You don't get refresh dungeons. Instead, you get these mini things in the middle, which are only, as of now, they're only really for like cosmetics or for these weird like rings that we're getting, right? Which are kind of like inconsequential, or might end up being inconsequential. We'll see. I sent you the main problem. Yeah, I mean, for sure. They've just sort of been doing this. This is what Link said. So this is the problem. Legion, and then they recycled Legion, and then they recycled Legion, and then they recycled, and then they recycled Legion again. Yeah. I just think like the way that they're designing things now is not for the people who are pushing Mythic Plus in Raid, right? That actually grew in distance. And then they stuffed other stuff in between the seasons now, like delve type stuff maybe, or this cosmetic stuff, or the ring, the Circe circlet. That's all stuffed in the middle here. And the seasons are extended. They're much longer. And so if I'm not interested in the stuff down here, then if I'm only really interested in these two things, then I'm just waiting. I'm just sitting on my ass just waiting. And that feels really bad. It just feels super bad. For me as a player. For people who want to do transmog stuff, it's actually great for them. It's fine. It's probably way better for them. But for me, it's complete garbage. It's weird because like it felt like Blizzard said to us, hey, we're going to shrink the expansion release times so that we stuff more content into less seasons. And it's like, okay, that actually sounds okay. I'm not waiting as long for the next expansion to drop, which is fantastic. But in the meantime, that time in the middle, man, it actually gets stretched out. 3 to 4 weeks, then break until next season. And plus does not hold up enough to carry the season. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. And the time, you know, you can spend your time trying to get cutting edge, and that's fine. But that's just like raid logging. Like eventually once you're pushing cutting edge, nobody's getting upgrades anymore. Nobody's getting any upgrades anymore at all. You're just relying on you progressing through the raid fights. That's how you beat the fight. You just get better and better at it. So eventually there's literally no reason to log into the game except for raid logging to try and get the kill. That's it. Because there's no gear upgrades anywhere. Which, like, I know that's inevitable. I get it. That's always inevitable in a season. But the problem right now is that the limit that we're hitting, we've already hit the max gear limit, basically. And now we have to wait 2 more months. It's like, whoa, that is insane, bro. I have to wait so long. That's an insane amount of time, right? 2 months of being at max level gear. Like, no. Waiting 2 months is too long, right? It's just too long for the next season. I've had my gear for a long time. I've had my gear. I've been at 636 item level for like probably 3 weeks now. So I'm gonna have to wait 8, not like 11, almost 12 months before I start getting better gear. That's just too long. I'm just saying it's this new like cadence that they've decided to do that makes it exacerbates the problem. It creates this problem, right? Because of the way that they're rolling out the seasons. You would think they would stuff a lot in between seasons so people don't get bored. The problem is like the type of content they're stuffing in between seasons. They're not stuffing like relevant content in between seasons for somebody like me. I'm interested in Mythic Plus and Raid. So there's no content for me getting stuffed in between seasons, right? Which I think they could easily do that. I think they could easily add more dungeons to the dungeon pool. Like, I don't know why they're not adding, just add 4 more dungeons into the dungeon pool. So now I have 12 dungeons that are part of the Mythic Plus rotation. There's a lot of work you'd have to, a lot of like little things you'd have to do with that, excuse me. But like, I don't know, that'd be fun. I think that'd be really fun. It would just freshen things up for me, you know? You can definitely tell even looking for groups, it just takes longer and longer. Yeah, it does. There's just nobody signing up for keys, right?